up. It's going to be a very, very intense journey.
Hello, Internet! Welcome to episode 155 of Frameskip, a casual as hell video game podcast. And you know we're casual because, Austin, Coach, I was starting to forget what your faces looked like. It's been so long since we've released an episode. We've all been busy, life's happened, geography's happened. Honestly, just tiredness has happened too, but we're back, and we're so excited to be back because we get to talk about video games, one of our favorite hobbies. Joining me tonight, our two most regular co-hosts. Austin, I'm going to start with you just because of the alphabet. How's it going?
It's going great, George. I'm glad to be here. I do want to point out, though, it's funny how the turntables, to make an Office reference, we look back about 2 years, and I remember you, me, and Seth questioning where the hell Coach was every single week. And here he is.
Yeah, Coach is here. Seth is not. I assume Seth is out there doing incredible things. We always used to joke that Coach was just riding his bike somewhere. Seth, I assume, is at an underground arm wrestling competition somewhere, possibly robbing a bank, not because he needs the money, but just because he wants to see if he could tear a vault door off the hinges. You know, things like that. Just general feats of strength. That sounds like Seth. Alphabet determines that the next person I talk to is Coach. Coach, how are you?
I'm doing good because this week my Christmas tree came in the mail, baby.
Beautiful.
Dude, I just saw that thing. I saw that on Amazon. It looks cool.
Yeah. So Christmas trees at our local little small Walmart here. It's like $150, $200 and they're crappy. So I'm like, okay, I love Christmas trees, but not that much. So I went with the Lego Christmas tree, and then I got like the Santa sleigh and stuff. So yeah.
What's the
I hate to sound,
what's the diameter?
The diameter of Uranus.
Yeah, I think that tree could fit in the diameter of Uranus, Austin. Yeah, if that's what you're asking.
I think so.
Last year, Ali and I caved, and instead of like going and paying for a tree or like going into our property and cutting down a tree, we just got like a reusable tree that has like the lights built in. It's so much easier. It's so much more. Yeah. It's so much more convenient.
Yes. I remember
awesome.
Last year, Black Friday, we were watching. I was at one of my friend's house. We were watching a game, and I knew that Costco had these two immaculate trees. One is like 7 foot or 6 foot, and the other one's like a lot taller, right? And my mind was on it all week. And then it was about 20 minutes, 30 minutes before Costco closed. I'm like, and it's a football game going watch. I'm like, bro, I got to go to Costco, man. I got to go get that tree. So I went, hauled ass, went and got it. And it is the best purchase. And I'm a naturalist, right? I'm all about getting fresh cut trees. The weekend after Thanksgiving, that week, the Thanksgiving weekend. And but this makes it looks so good. I didn't need to put ornaments on it this year. That's how good it looked.
Nice.
We're so badass.
Yeah, we just did that, like, I forget if it was last Christmas or the Christmas before. I think it was last Christmas we bought our first artificial. And we had held off on it for so long because we lived in a 1-bedroom apartment and had literally nowhere to put it after Christmas ended. But yeah. I think it was 2 years ago, we went to like Home Depot or Lowe's or whatever to buy a real tree. And it was like $100 for like a 5 foot. And we were like, no more. We're not doing this. So we bought, similar to you, Coach, we bought like a pre-lit, like artificial on sale on Black Friday. I think it was at Target though, the one we bought, and it was it's it's still holding up well. So it's like a 7 foot.
And true story is I had 5 days to move out of my house before I came to Cuba. Like I had hardly any time. Oh, yeah, it's okay.
Okay.
At this point, it's okay. I'm like, so, anyways, Cuba, it's a city in Florida. How about that?
Oh
That
yeah,
city in
Cuba,
Florida.
Alabama.
There you
Yeah.
go. Cuba, Alabama. But I had kept my tree up, and I would turn on just the white lights. And yeah, in March, I'm rocking my Christmas tree with white lights at night.
It's gorgeous. There's nothing more annoying than trying to drape lights on a tree. And like obviously there's fucking more annoying things than that. I'm saying in the context of Christmas decorating, there's nothing more annoying than that. It's infuriating, but like having one with like the lights built in and like you don't have to do anything and then like you literally just get to hang the ornaments you want there and you don't feel pressure to just fill the thing. It's fucking incredible, man.
Yeah.
It's so good. Well, that brings us to the first thing I want to talk about. Coach, you mentioned it. It is, as we're recording, December 3rd. Last weekend was Black Friday weekend, Thanksgiving weekend. First off, I hope you all had a wonderful Thanksgiving. But frankly, I don't give a shit. I want to talk about Black Friday. What were your best? What were your biggest? What was your Black Friday like? I spent an irresponsible amount of money on Black Friday. It was incredible. I loved it.
So part of my Black Friday was like a prelude to Black Friday because I bought, as well documented, probably too much in our WhatsApp group chat, um, a new computer. I built a new computer, and so a lot of that stuff was on sale like the week prior to Black Friday already. So I bought like my solid state drive, my power supply, and then my graphics card were all like in pre Black Friday sales on Newegg. So
Hmm.
those were like my big purchases, and I spent way too much money on this computer. So that was kind of my big like Black Friday quote unquote purchase. But because of that, and for those wondering, I guess I should say, I got a Ryzen 7 9800 X3D, which is like the top gaming CPU right now. It just came out about a month ago, and then a 4080 Super. So pretty capable. And I really just wanted something that could like completely obliterate Monster Hunter Wilds when that comes out. So I'm looking forward to playing that on here. But the point being, because I bought this computer, I spent like way too much money on Steam games. So
What hit me with some Steam purchases you got?
yeah, so I'm pulling up my
Did you
library now.
did you double dip? Like, did you buy any games that you already own just because you want
For
to play
sure.
them on a high end PC? Okay.
Yep. So I'm looking at my Steam list. I bought Mass Effect Legendary Edition, the trilogy.
Forces. That was like $5 on
Yeah, it
Steam
was
Deck.
$5. It's insane, dude. 3 like of the best games of all time for $5, and it's like at least 100 hours, right? You would get from playing all 3 of those games. Crazy.
Like
Um,
60, 70 is
yeah.
still great. Still great.
Black Mesa I bought, which is the Half-Life 1
Ooh,
remake.
Mhm.
Max Payne 1, 2, and 3 I all bought. I've never played Max Payne 1 and 2. I did play Max Payne 3 on PS3 like years ago, but I want to try it again. Sons of the Forest I bought, which is the sequel to The Forest. It's kind of like a co-op survival game.
Survival.
Yeah. It's really good though. It's not like Rust or Ark where you're fighting other people as well as enemies. It's like fully co-op. So there are no other people that you're fighting against, which is nice. But Andie, before we were together, Andie really enjoyed the first Forest game, and so we had been talking about playing this one. So I bought that. Not really a purchase, but a friend of mine bought me Hell Let Loose, which is
Oh yeah.
a really interesting looking game from what I've seen. It's like a World War One or two kind of serious, like tactical
So
online
World War
shooter.
it's like it's like an Arma light game,
Yeah.
right? Where like it's supposed to be it's all about communication, it's all about troop movement and placement. Fabio was really into that game, so we played a bunch of it for a while.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to playing it. I've never played it. So that, and then Red Dead Redemption 2 I finally bought. That was one of the games that a couple months ago we did that whole episode about the best games you've never played, and I think this was like my number one on my list because I've really been wanting to play it, but I just haven't. So I saw it was $20. Thought that was pretty good, so I snagged that. and that's probably going
I'm
to be
sorry.
one. Go ahead.
Sorry, can you repeat the game name? Sorry, I'm
Yeah.
currently on Steam because I forgot Mass Effect was $5, so I'm buying it right now.
Yeah, Red Dead 2. So
Oh, yeah. Okay.
yeah, I still have not played that game. And then Deep Rock Galactic I bought because I remember you talking about it so much. And with Andy and I's computers both in this office now, we want some more like PC games that we can play together. And so I bought it, and then I bought it for her. And we played some of it last night. Actually, we played a little bit, and it's cool. I like it so far. I really dig it.
Incredibly fun co-op shooter, class-based. If anyone listening hasn't played that game and you got a couple buddies on any platform, please play that game. If you want to play it on PlayStation, fucking message us and I will absolutely be there. That is one of my favorite games of all time. I think that game is incredible.
I'm surprised. I was a little shocked that they had not added crossplay. I feel like that's something they've got to do at some point because the game, like, it seems like they're very community driven. Like they've got this whole Steam group where like people are chatting about it all the time, and so I wouldn't be surprised if they do that eventually. But yeah, I think the first game I'm going to play out of all those, though, well, first off, my graphics card came with Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. So after I play that, which comes out, I think, Friday if you have the Ultimate Edition, and then like Monday or Tuesday for the regular. After I play that, I think I'm going to go to Red Dead 2. Because I don't know. I feel like that's a good game to play during the winter, and I'm looking forward to playing it. So, yeah, that's all I bought, though. I mean, in the grand scheme of things, I probably oversold it a little bit because with all of that, I definitely still spent less than $100, which is pretty good for all those games. But considering I spent an asinine amount of money on this computer, I think that'll
That
make do
is
for a
kind
while.
of funny that you spend thousands of dollars on a computer just to play like I got like $80 worth of games. You know?
So the last one that I keep thinking about, and I haven't bought it, I haven't pulled the trigger, but I keep looking at it, and I'm like, do I buy Baldur's Gate 3 while it's on sale? And I feel like the answer has to be yes. But I haven't bought it yet.
Yes.
So, sorry, Coach, you were saying something.
No, I was going to say, you were talking about Red Dead Redemption 2. Have you noticed that the first Red Dead Redemption, and I don't even think it got remastered, but it's still like high price.
Yeah. So it just came out. I don't know about the console versions. I mean, I know there was that port, and I don't know about the pricing, but it just came out on Steam like within the past month and a half, which, by the way, is insane to me that this game's been out for at least 10 years. I mean, it's been what, like 12 years?
Yeah, 12, because it came out. I remember I was in freaking Qatar in 2011.
Yeah.
When I first got my PS3, and that was the first game I got, right?
So
I just remember
Oh, go ahead.
I remember that opening scene with the ferry. Would it be a ferry or whatever they want to call it back then? And just the water back then, I'm like, oh.
So I'm looking at the Steam. It's on sale, and even on sale, it's $40.
Yeah.
The normal version or normal price is $50 on Steam.
Yeah.
So it's crazy to me though that game has not released on PC until this year. But I'm glad it did. I'm glad they at least did it. I'm glad they didn't just let it hang. So, but yeah, man, I love that game.
Can you do me a favor too? I'm looking at Steam right now. The Mad Max game from PS4's generation is $2.
I have it.
If you haven't played it. Oh, you do? Okay.
I have it, but I haven't played it. So
then
somehow it's on my
mind.
Steam. Probably from a Humble Bundle or something at some point years ago. But yeah. Anyway, Coach, what did you get? Did you get anything?
So yeah, I did. As a matter of fact, I got too much, but there were games that were in the teens. Like they weren't expensive at all. So I did get the dual pack of Final Fantasy, the remake, right? So it's what, Rebirth and
remake?
Yeah. Right. And then I got East 8. East 8 was dirt cheap. Legend of Mana I picked up. And then the Mass Effect trilogy was like dirt, like I think it was like $6 or something like that.
$5, dude.
Yeah,
$5.
And
Ridiculous.
then also the Metro, all 3 Metro games, right? And then I did get Persona 5 Strikers. Pick that one up because I've been going down that Muso rabbit hole, just like picking up PS3 games, Dynasty Warrior PS3 games, and then remember the Assassin's Creed Syndicate? Remember you said it got the 60 frames per second?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
That was like dirt cheap, so I picked that one up.
Nice.
And then Monster Hunter Rise.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yes.
Love it.
So, and of course, previously, and it wasn't on sale, but I did get Horizon Zero Dawn.
Nice.
Yeah. So those were my
Sweet.
pickups. Plus, also non-gaming related. You know, I'm trying to bring 90s back, and I've been getting some jorts, right? So I picked up 2 pairs. Yes, sir. Bringing these back to
Hell, somebody's got to do it. I'm glad it's you, Coach.
yes,
That's great.
yes.
So, Coach,
No
like,
shame.
what's the the length of these jorts? Are they like the
Oh.
John Cena style?
Oh,
or
yeah, John
like
Cena.
booty jorts?
No. You have to go down to your knees. If you're gonna wear jorts, right, denim shorts, you have to wear them down to the knee. You have to style them good, right? So, and I get Lee. Lee makes some really good ones. So they're denim, but they're also different colors too, and they're a perfect fit for me right now. So, yep.
Very nice.
Speaking of fashion, I don't know if you guys have seen the light of a brand called MeUndies.
Are
You
they
guys ever use
good?
MeUndies?
They're so
They're
expensive.
they're fantastic. They're incredible. Easily the best underwear I've ever had. And more importantly than that, like I used to be like a big Hanes boxer briefs guy. Felt like I had to buy like a new couple sets every year. I just bought my first replacement MeUndies for the first time in 5 or 6 years.
That's
Shit's incredible. Like underwear that just lasts and lasts and lasts. And they were all like half off. I bought a 10-pack of the black underwear for $75, so it came down to $7.50 a pair, which I understand sounds expensive, but like a 5-pack of Hanes costs $25. Like that's $5. So I'm just saying, like, without having to replace them every year, like it was a hell of a deal. Like I said, I spent an irresponsible amount of money on Black Friday. I bought a PS5 digital, so I'd have a PlayStation 5 downstairs in my new office.
Nice.
That console's incredible. However, I regret buying the digital version because now I'm trying to track down like a disk drive that I can just like float on top of it. And it's sold out everywhere. Can't find it. And it wouldn't be an issue, except right next to my PlayStation 5, I have my entire PlayStation 4 collection just staring at me. And every once in a while, I'm like, man, I should really throw in Final Fantasy Type 0 or Mafia 3 and really play these games. And so that's why I'm trying to get it now. Hopefully it comes back in stock, but we'll see. I bought so many games.
I think you could pick it up for like $85 maybe.
I can't. It's never in stock anywhere. Okay. Like it's not in stock on Best Buy. It's not in stock on Target. Not on Amazon.
Have
not
you
on
tried
Walmart.
eBay?
I have looked at eBay and I see them marked up. Like it's like $120, and I'm like, I'm not paying a $40 convenience charge because you bought something you didn't fucking need.
Right.
I hate scalpers so much, man. They're the bane of life in 2024, amongst other things.
2020 also.
Yeah, I should have gotten a PlayStation 5 earlier. So I bought that. I bought my PlayStation 5 from Best Buy. Best Buy had this incredible deal where if you bought a PlayStation 5, you could get EA games for $25 each. So obviously,
like unlimited,
I bought
not just one.
There was a select, like I think there was like 7 or 8. Like it was like NHL,
right? But
FIFA,
like you could buy like multiple.
Whatever was. Yeah.
Damn.
So I bought Dragon Age Veilguard and I bought College Football 25. I thought about getting Madden and I'm like, I'll just stick with college football. So I got those two for $50. I got an additional 2 terabyte PLE drive for the storage. And then I got so many more games, man. I got Rise of the Ronin, God of War Ragnarok, College Football 25, Dragon Age Veilguard, Suicide Squad, Kill the Justice League. I'm very excited. That's going to be my December project. I'm genuinely very much looking forward to that game. I got Tomb Raider 1 through 3 remastered.
On sale, huh?
Sure did. $20. Love it.
Yep.
Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth for PS5.
Nice.
Final Fantasy 7 Reunion, the Crisis Core game. I got Cyberpunk the Ultimate Edition, and I got Metaphor ReFantasia, which I have no intention to play anytime soon, except for like Game of the Year discussion when we're going to do that.
Yeah.
And Silent Hill 2 I grabbed, which I'm like too scared to play, so I don't even know why about that.
Awesome.
I also got Dragon Ball Super, the entire collection, like the Blu-ray collection, for $98, which I think was the best deal I got for all of Black Friday,
Dude,
besides MeUndies.
That's so good. Usually those anime
Right?
Blu-rays are freaking like absurdly expensive.
The Crunchyroll site, it used to be a Right Stuff Anime, and then it was bought out by Crunchyroll, so now it's just the
Yeah.
Crunchyroll store. But like that was like the publisher that was doing every Gundam DVD and Blu-ray for the past like 5 or 10 years. Like they just redid everything and like did gorgeous transfers and all this stuff. So I went there to look for more Gundam series that I don't have. I picked up like the 2, not really series, they're like minis, like a single episode type thing, which I was like, I'm not paying $30 for this, but it's on sale for $8. I'm like, all right, I'll pay $8 for that. That sounds fine. So I grabbed that shit, and then $98 for the entire Dragon Ball Super. Because Coach, we're in like a private WhatsApp that, sorry, you can't be there, but we're in a private WhatsApp chat, and Coach does like simultaneously the most annoying and most inspiring thing, where like every single day, Coach will be like, I'm thinking about getting into this. And I'm like, didn't you say you were going to get into something yesterday and the day before and the day before that and the week before that? Like you do it every day, but then also like you'll say it every day. And I'm like, fuck, that's a great idea. Yeah, you should do that. So Coach said, I think I want to like really get into Dragon Ball. And I'm like, I think that's going to get in the way of you playing all these boomer shooters, but sure. Yeah, go for it, guy. I support you. It's on Hulu. It's on Crunchyroll. You got this. And then I was like, fuck, that's a great idea. So then I started watching Dragon Ball, and I watched like the entire first season of Dragon Ball. 13 episodes, I think, for the first season. There's like 7 or 8 all on Crunchyroll. And I'm like, yeah, this is better than Dragon Ball Z. Like, I like Dragon Ball Z more, but man, Dragon Ball's so much better than Dragon Ball Z. And I've never seen Super, and Daima's coming out to Netflix. So I'm like, you know what? It's going to be fucking DBZ Ember, baby. Like, that's what we're doing. DBZ Ember.
I love it. Yeah, I started Dragon Ball like when Akira Toriyama passed away earlier this year, and I remember how far I got. I got probably about 20 episodes in and got sidetracked. So I need to go back to
original Dragon Ball.
Yeah. But I do like it.
It's good. It's good, man. It's really good.
Seth was telling me it gets a lot better. Like if you're expecting more action, apparently it becomes more action oriented, like past the first and second arc ish. So
yeah, I mean, first arc is just him dealing with the Dragon Balls and Emperor Pilaf and all that shit, and then I think like the tournament arc starts in the second, like the 26th episode, whatever, and then it just keeps going, and then like you're dealing with like the Red Ribbon Army and all that shit. Like it does keep snowballing, and gets way better, but underappreciated series somehow, despite how much like I think that show is basically responsible for making anime nerds in the US, right?
Yeah, has to be.
So, yeah, and like Coach, I know you were there for like the Speed Racer and Voltron days, because I know you're from a previous generation, respectfully, but like for like no one my age gave a shit about those shows, respectfully. Like that stuff just seemed janky and old, and like it felt like the Herculoids and like Birdman and Space Ghost of Japanese animation, which is like I love now, but when I was 7, I was like, this looks shitty. And then Dragon Ball Z came out, and I was just like, oh, this is special. And then everything just avalanche from there. Anyways, we've been talking too much about Black Friday. I don't think we were talking too much about Akira Toriyama. Rest in peace, man. Thank you for everything he did. We have a topic that we want to jump into this week, and I'm going to lead off that topic with an anecdote. Coach sent us a really cool article from Forbes talking about how Sony is thinking about getting back into the handheld game, which wouldn't be that big of a deal if they didn't fucking unceremoniously exit it in the first place, but whatever. Anecdote though, I've been playing so much Steam Deck lately. I've been playing 2 games mostly. I've been playing Half-Life, the original, because I've never played it before, and I've been playing Halo, the Master Chief Collection. And
Nice.
guys, I can't stop playing. Like, this is what I do before bed now. I used to just sit there and read comic books on my phone in dark mode and like just hope that like the orange hued light would make me sleepy and go to bed. Now I just play shooters, and I gotta be honest, guys, I fucking hate playing games on the Steam Deck. I hate it so much. Halo doesn't feel like Halo on the Steam Deck. I don't know if it's because I'm not holding a 360 controller. Like, I don't know if it's like psychosomatic like that. The game feels harder on a Steam Deck than it ever did on a controller. Like, I dropped it down to easy because frankly, like, I've beaten Halo enough times. Like, I don't need to prove anything. I'm not like trying to go through on legendary, but something about the actual controls just feel worse on a Steam Deck than it ever did sitting in front of a TV. And I don't know if it's because I'm playing it 3 inches away from my face before I fall asleep or what, but like, man, I just don't like it. I love 2D games on the Steam Deck. The one game I am playing right now in 2D is the one Steam game I bought during Black Friday, and I hate it. It's called UFO 50. And
Never
it's
even heard of this.
50 It's like 50 different NES style games in one package. And it's made by like this actual like prolific guy. I cannot remember. God, let me look it up. God, what is the other? It's like a giant demo pack basically where it has like NES games that are fully built into it. There's 50 of them. And God, what was the last game this person made? From Derek Yu, who did Spelunky. That's who it was.
Never played that game.
Spelunky is fantastic, but UFO 50 getting a ton of like critical darling praise from everyone. I don't get it. I've played 3 of the games, and I'm like, it's like you're going through the console generation's life cycle, where it's like, oh, the first game is janky as shit, and then like the second game's a little bit better, then the third game's a little bit better, just because it's like, oh, like now we're figuring out the console, whatever. It's not important. I'm just saying, I don't like 3D games on the Steam Deck. That said, the Vita is one of my favorite consoles of all time. The PSP might actually just be my favorite console of all time. The more time I spend with it, the more I'm in love with it. Talk to me about handhelds. What are we looking for? What do we want out of a handheld in 2024? Is it too little too late from Sony because there's so many options now? I know I'm the only person I've ever heard say they don't like the Steam Deck.
So I was reading through the article, and unfortunately, like it was on Bloomberg, so everybody pulled it from Bloomberg, and you got to have a subscription to Bloomberg, right? But anyways, so they're saying if it does happen, it's not going to be for a few years, so 2 to 3 years from now. So the question is, like right now, the portal, they just had an update where you don't have to have your PS5 on, I believe.
You can now, if you have
from the cloud, right?
Yeah, if you have the PlayStation Plus, like not the basic subscription, but like the higher ones that have the cloud streaming, you can, you can now stream those games to the portal.
Right. So, and of course, everything all depends on your signal, right? Your connection and all. So, is there going to be enough space to have it? Like Microsoft is even talking about they want to do it. But I think that's the most ridiculous thing that they could do, because their games are already on Steam, and we're soon going to be getting Steam Deck 2, right?
Presumably.
Not just that, they have a Xbox Live app on the Rogue Ally, don't they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They have that, and they just have that marketing campaign that everything is an Xbox. So like, you don't need to release an Xbox handheld at this point. Like Sony, I think, makes the most sense. But like Switch proved that like, oh fuck, like we can release these games and be extremely successful, and we don't even have to spend hundreds of $1 million making the most high fidelity video game. We can just kind of like, I don't want to say cut corners because I don't think Nintendo cuts corners, but in terms of just like not being the most graphics stressful game, like we can do that. Like that sounds like a pretty appealing business plan for Sony, right? Like if they can make stuff that isn't super intensive, because every every ounce of detail in these games, like that's literally money, right? Like that's man hours spent. That's a artist that's just sitting there drawing out the pores on someone's face, you know? And like in theory that'll get easier with AI scaling, and like it or not, that's coming to games to make things easier. And like I think in some cases that's fine. That's no different than like a texture brush, right? Like that's AI. So like I'm fundamentally fine with it. I don't want AI making games, so like I'm okay with like AI assisted games because that
Yeah.
just helps realize people's vision. But like I think Sony is seeing this, like they fucked up so bad by killing the Vita by jumping out when they did, especially since the PSP was so successful. And they see just Nintendo just eating that market alive. And Steam Deck, I don't think has sold that many units, right?
I don't think so. I'm not really
Like
sure
I think
about numbers, but it's not like, I mean, it's not anywhere close to the Switch at all.
yeah, it's like under 10 million, right?
So we're talking Wii U numbers.
Yeah. Trying to see if I could find.
I mean, kind of. I think you're right, Coach. Like Wii U are like Dreamcast numbers. It's like a niche product, which makes sense because it kind of sucks. I'm teasing at this point. I just don't like how Halo feels on it. But no, I think there's absolutely something there. Like I'm fine owning a Steam Deck because that is just going to be my emulation machine at this point, and I'm gonna figure that out. But no, man. Like I was just thinking how much better a shooter would feel on a PlayStation handheld because it's not built to facilitate everything. You know, it's built to facilitate what they know.
Yeah.
And so I'd be, I'd be so excited for
So
that.
would they? Okay, so the PS5 Pro just came. So you have to assume that we're about 3 to 5 years away from the PS6, right? Kind of similar
Yeah,
to how,
presumably.
yeah. So when this comes out, it's going to be in that time frame, give or take 1 or 2 years, right? So is it going to be used mainly to play their whole library of PS4, PS3? Are you going to be able to play those games? I don't see it playing PS6 games. Would it be able to play PS5 games? Would it be able to play PS5 Pro? What do you think? What kind of games would it support?
It's such an
I
interesting
don't think.
conversation because like you've got these different types of handhelds. I mean, like obviously you've got the Steam Deck and um the ROG Ally, and then there's another one. I forget what the other one is, but there's a few of those like PC handhelds.
Like that Inodin or whatever.
Yeah, stuff like
Yeah.
that. And I think those work because of the nature of PC where, you're able to turn down settings. So a game comes out, you know, I don't know, Yakuza 8 comes out and, that's a current gen game. That's a PS5 Series X game. But even though the Steam Deck is considerably weaker, you can still play it on there just at a lower quality because you can go in and turn down the graphical settings. So you've got that like angle, but then you've also got the Switch angle, which is that like literally it just comes out and every single thing Nintendo makes is a Switch game. And there isn't like an upper end. It's just the Switch. Um so the reason I bring all that up though is I'm just thinking in my head. I mean, I know obviously they're thinking about this stuff too, but let's say it comes out with or alongside the PS6 or something like that in that same time frame. Do they essentially I mean, let me hold on. Let me reverse a little bit. I can't foresee Sony releasing a handheld or Microsoft for that matter that is like old school. They're only making games that work on that handheld that don't work on PS6 or whatever. I think those days are come and gone. So I think the real question you have to ask is like, how does this work with the current ecosystem? Can you play PS6 games on this? And this is all hypothetical, but can you play PS6 games on this? Or again, like you mentioned, Coach, is it meant to be like a portable PS5? Because the problem is, if you can play PS6 games on it, it's not going to be as strong as a PS6. It's really what it comes down to. So now, to fully complete this conversation, you're working your way back into an Xbox Series S situation where now you've got this full scale PS6 and then a handheld PS6. that's weaker. And so those devs have to account for that when they're making these games. And I don't know, man. I feel like the whole Series S thing kind of didn't work out for Microsoft in total. I know a lot of people bought it, but a lot of devs like delayed their games and stuff because of having to account for the weaker hardware. It would just be interesting to see. I don't know what direction they would go.
Coach, your response.
Yeah, so you have price point. That's a big thing. Yeah, it definitely can't be just a standalone where you develop games just for it, right? It has to be able to play whatever the current lineup, whatever system you have. Or I'm thinking maybe PS5 and older. So that way you can have a dedicated handheld to legacy PlayStation games, and then you have this nice shiny PS6, which honestly I don't think we need really for a long time, because this, correct me if I'm wrong, but has this generation for both Microsoft and Sony felt underwhelming?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Remember
it's like
PS4? Like it was.
It's Final Fantasy 16 and Alan Wake 2 are like the games where I'm like, these are interesting, and like that's pretty much it, you know. Those are the games where I'm like, holy shit, this wasn't possible.
Yeah, it's just it's that different feeling that we had when we had our PS3s or our PS4s or 360s and the Xbox One. But it'll be interesting to see, because the reason why I wanted to bring this up is if Microsoft and Sony try to get into the market, it's got to be niche to their own stuff, and I think Sony could pull it off. But then again, how many times has Sony burned us, right?
Yeah.
I don't
They're
know
so bad
how
about
many.
that.
Yeah, the PSVR, PSVR2. I don't know how many units they've sold. I know they put a lot of money in R&D, right? And
They sold at least one.
and then the PS, what is it, the PlayStation TV, the Vita, right?
The thing was fucking sick. I don't want to hear any slander
Remember,
about
like,
it, but
and now
yeah.
it's like $900 million to find one.
Yeah, dude. I bought
know,
mine
I'm
for
really
like
glad
$50.
I got mine for 40 on Facebook Marketplace. Yeah.
Do you guys still have it?
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, of course.
So it just depends on how it aligns with their current.
You're right. I also don't know how much of an issue that is, because like I feel like we've reached a certain threshold where like a lot of late PS4 games still look really good, right? Like a lot of Switch games still look really good despite being on underpowered hardware. Austin, you just built a brand new PC. I'm sure you're excited to. Sorry, Andie looked like she was upset. Sorry, Andie, you also built a brand new PC. I'm sure you're excited for like a brand new game next year, like Monster Hunter, right? I'm sure you're excited for that to come out and run it on max specs.
Yeah.
Aren't you also excited to like run Mass Effect on max specs? Aren't you also excited to run Max Payne 1 on max specs?
Absolutely.
That's okay. So
yeah.
like at a certain point, I don't think you need to get too technical with what you're doing. Like, I don't know if like you can. I feel like consumers are smart enough at this point where like they understand you're not going to have the best experience on every platform. Whereas like that was not a conversation you wanted to have 20 years ago. And so if you're just like, hey, this plays everything up through PlayStation 5 pretty
Right.
well. This plays everything on PlayStation 4 fucking gorgeously. This plays PlayStation 3 games. If they can figure out how to like do it natively, that'd be sick. PlayStation 2, all this, like this is the best way to play a PlayStation 1 game, PlayStation 2, PlayStation 3, 4, and 5. I feel like that's good enough. And we have a question from the audience. Hello, Alden. He says, hello, framers and skippers.
Loyalty.
Question for George Cuck Libtard Loftus. That's me. I'm the Cuck Libtard, everyone. I think you should have healthcare. That makes me a bad person. What is the ideal lifespan of this new Sony handheld if Sony doesn't do its Sony thing and it actually supports it, unlike the Vita? I think realistically, 4 years max. Like I just don't think that these
Yeah,
things have enough of a shelf life just because I'm looking at the way like a company like Ambernick replenishes its line.
constantly.
Like they get like 3 new models a year. And like some of that is really cool because they're like experimenting with different form factors, right? Like they have like the wide horizontal based that looks like a PSP. They have like the like the Miu Plus or whatever design that looks like a Game Boy with like an ultra wide screen. And then they release like 3 or 4 consoles a year that is just different form factors and slight like appreciations in tech power.
Yep.
I don't think Sony can do that. I think this thing, especially like if they built it to play old games and they're like, hey, this is your PlayStation, like 35 years of PlayStation on the go. If they do that, and then if they emphasize that like it works well with PlayStation 6 or whatever, then I think it has more of a shelf life, more runway. And like honestly, that's all I want. If you can get me something that plays honestly just PlayStation 4 games, up to PlayStation 4 games on the go, and give me 7 hours of battery life, I'm fucking there. That's all I need. I know I'm not everyone, but that's
Yeah.
Well, you
that's
know
good
what's
enough for me.
you know what's crazy is when they announced the portal, everybody on the internet is like, "Who's gonna get this?" But it's sold relatively well.
Yeah.
Like it's done.
It's selling out. Yeah, like
Yeah.
it sold
So
out when it came out, and now like the anniversary model is selling out everywhere. Like I'm still on my Black Friday high. I would have gotten one like the 30th anniversary for the
They're
portal for
they're
sure.
always in stock. I just need to walk about 5 minutes and I can
No,
have
but
it.
I'm saying the gray PlayStation
Yeah, I know.
30th anniversary one. Like that's the one I'm like, all right, I'd
That
pull
was
that trigger.
But Coach, you actually set up something just now that I thought of as you guys were talking. Earlier, again, just to go back to it, I was talking about the technical challenge of having a weaker handheld matched with a stronger, base system. But what if? I mean, this is all hypothetical stuff we're talking about here. But what if, again, PlayStation Portal selling pretty well and the technology works really well for what you get? What if it's like a hybrid? So imagine, if you will, a PlayStation Portal that comes out alongside PS6 or soon after or shortly before or whatever it may be that can play, let's just say I don't know. I would say in 5 years, I'm sure they can make a handheld that can play PS5 games. Maybe I'm wrong. But let's just say PS5. It can play up to PS5. It can't play PS6. But you can still stream your games from your PS6 to that handheld. I think that would work. I think that would be really smart. Because now you're at a point where, even though for some reason they still haven't figured out PS3 backwards compatibility, I hope they do eventually, but you would have PS4 and PS5 generations fully playable on this handheld. And that's plenty of games for people. And then if you want to play your PS6 handheld, you just stream it.
Yeah, I mean it's Moore's law, right? That like
Yeah.
the amount of transistors you can fit on chip doubles every 2 years and goes
Yep.
down by half every 2 years. So like honestly, I feel like it's getting extra exponential at this point, just like looking at certain costs that have come down for technology. Like I feel like it is possible to do it, especially since like they're kind of teasing the market right now, right? With like fidelity mode versus performance mode. Like they're already preparing an audience to make a choice between like, hey, what kind of gaming experience do you want? Like that wasn't a fucking thing on PlayStation 2, PlayStation 3, even PlayStation 4, right? Like that wasn't. Maybe some games, like I'm thinking like maybe Jedi Fallen Order or like
Yeah.
Control,
There were
like
some here and there.
gave you that choice, but like that was exceedingly rare, right, for a game to do that. Whereas PlayStation 5, it feels like every game is asking you to make that choice. I can see it, man. Like I can totally like that's basically sliders on a game where you're choosing between min-max settings. And you're right, like streaming opens up so many possibilities, especially since like they've already done the hard part with frankly like an ugly looking device in
Yeah.
the PlayStation Portal,
Yeah.
right? Like that doesn't look sleek.
It's kind of
And I
rough
think
looking.
they're onto something. I think they're onto something if they do it right. But that they have to like. I don't have the subscription service. Do you guys have the subscription service?
No.
I do.
I just have the
I don't
base.
have Game Pass, so that's why I've got subscription on PlayStation. It's fucking awesome, man. Literally every classic game is just free. And like, all due respect to Xbox, they don't put out enough new games at a clip that's interesting enough to me for me to go with like Game Pass Ultimate. Like, I will probably get it for Indiana Jones and the Great Circle, just because work-wise, December is kind of slow for me because I work in advertising and like, man, we did all of our work. That was Black Friday. That was the holiday sales. That shit's done. So like, I got kind of like a coast coming up for December. So I'll be playing games. I don't have to work late. I'm so excited. But like, that's about it. And so it's like once every 4 months there's a game that's interesting to me. But like, man, every week there's like, they just released like Star Wars The Phantom Menace on PlayStation 1 on PlayStation. They have that. They have Star Wars Rebel Assault 2. They just released all 3 Sly Cooper games. I think they play natively
Where's
now
Rogue
on.
Squadron?
I'm so
Come on,
I have the cartridge out. I'm waiting for my analog because I forgot that I pre-ordered that.
Wait, you forgot?
I totally forgot. That was like a hungover in July. That was like a birthday present to me.
Wasn't that like last month?
I think so.
I think it was earlier than that. Do you remember those pictures of like that fake like Charlie and the Chocolate Factory thing where it's like these kids in Scotland thought they were going to like an experiential event
Yes.
where that was this year. Like, I completely forgot that. That felt like 3 years ago. Fucking Madam Web came out in like March. Like, this year is like the impossible year.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Pre-orders launched October 20 something. I just had it here. 24.
Did you pre-order 8-bit dudes for controller?
I
Okay.
believe so. Yeah. No, that was 3 months ago. Get off
I'm
my
sorry
ass.
to
I don't wanna hear
fact
it.
check you on here, George.
No, you're not fact checking me.
fact check.
No, you know my weakness is calendars. That has always been my Achilles heel.
Damn.
I get drunk.
So I
every
did ask
Tuesday,
George
so.
the other
Yeah,
day
what's up?
what's going to be his first game he plays on it, and he said Rogue Squadron. So I'll do the same.
I have that one out. Honestly, I have such a soft spot. I sent a picture earlier. A book I pre-ordered months ago finally arrived today. It's like the Wipeout, like oral history, basically, where it's like them talking about developing the series. Most importantly for me, the art direction behind the series. Like, they just go full born into like that Y2K aesthetic, talking about futurism, and them just sort of defining the look for this series. I am so excited. That is all I want to do this weekend, is just curl up and read that book, because that is my favorite artistic movement. I love like the idea of like blobjects, like just everything that was weird about like 1997 to about 2002. I just think that's the coolest thing ever. So I'm doing that. There was one game that did that on N64 called Extreme G. Coach, do you remember that one?
Extreme G.
Extreme G Racing, where it was like futuristic motorcycles. Austin, do you remember
Yes.
that one?
I do.
Oh my god, it's so good. And there was a GameCube game that I have recently become obsessed with, and I've been playing in my downtime, waiting for meetings to start in the mornings. So like that's probably gonna be number 2. But also, you know what's sick is there's no disc rot on an N64 cartridge. So every game I've got, it's gonna be good to go as soon as that analog shows up. I can't wait.
By the way, Extreme G is on the Switch Online.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's sick. I didn't know that. I bought those N64 controllers. So I'm gonna go probably do that after this and check it out. I had no idea it was there. Thank you.
I hope I'm not lying. I hope I'm not thinking of a different game. You'll have to tell
I
me.
hope you're not too, because I might fly down to Georgia just to break those dumb fucking glasses on your face.
Nice.
I feel
Very
bad
nice.
calling them dumb. No, they're very handsome.
Well, before we pivot off this, just quickly, because we haven't talked about it recently, where do we think Switch 2 fits into all this? I mean, because obviously they've been the dominant handheld player for over a decade now. I mean, well, I guess really ever. I mean, they haven't really ever not been.
I was alluding to this earlier. I frankly don't even care how much more powerful Switch 2 is than Switch 1. The second they said it was backwards compatible, and in my head I'm like, it'll make Switch 1 games run better. Like, I was sold. Like, that was all I needed at that point.
If it's
anything else is icing on the cake.
I think if it's coded a certain way, like, the variable frame rate, right? I think that's why the later games have been developed that way, because if it has that variable frame rate and whatever engine or whatever way they're processing it, when it goes to the Switch 2, I think it has a chance of having a stabilized frame rate.
It would
It's
need,
complicated.
if they're smart, literally all it would need is what the PS4 Pro first introduced called boost mode, which is where they like amped up the clock speed of like the CPU for older PS4 games that had unlocked frame rates. So I hope it has something like that. The problem would be if it's a game that's locked at 30. I mean, it's not going to go higher than that without a dev going in and updating the game, unlocking the frame rate. But if it's something like Echoes of Wisdom, which just bounces all over the place between 30 and 60, I would hope that Switch 2 comes out and fixes that issue, but we'll see.
Same with the Mario and Luigi game. Like, I purposely didn't buy those because they weren't stable, right?
Yeah.
I'm not going to just buy it just to buy it. What is it going to do with Scarlet and Violet?
Yeah.
You know, what's it going to do? Is it going to help it in any way? It's not going to make it look better, of course, but will it be a lot more stable? And then if that's the case, then now you got a freaking badass Pokemon game that's stable that, you know, we've been all waiting for. So
I just will say though, like as far as the market goes, I mean, because we are getting this flood of handhelds. Up to this point, you know, we haven't seen anything from Sony or Microsoft, but as already mentioned, I mean, Steam, the Steam Deck, the other Windows devices, I mean, have not been able to touch the Switch even remotely. I feel like the Switch 2 stays dominant, to be honest. I mean, I don't really...
Sorry, you mean sales-wise? They haven't been...
Yes. Okay. I really don't foresee a world where, like, anything gets that close to the Switch. And the only reason I say that, aside from Nintendo's ability to make these, like, really high-quality games with limited hardware, I think what it's really going to come down to, if they follow the same path, is their device is going to be cheaper than everything else, and you already know it's going to be cheaper.
It's branding, dude. Like, my niece is obsessed with Mario because of the Mario game. I gave my brother-in-law, I got him like a Nintendo Classic, or I gave my sister a Nintendo Classic because she taught me how to play video games. Like, she taught me how to play Super Mario Brothers and Super Mario Brothers 3. Like, that was what we did when she was 7 years older than me. So like I was 5 and she was 12. Like we would just hand the controller back and forth. Like she taught me how to play video games.
Yeah.
So I got her an NES Classic, and her daughter is like obsessed with Mario 3. And then the movie came out, and then she got obsessed with Mario. She doesn't care that games play better on Steam Deck. Yeah. You know, she wants fucking Princess Peach. You know, she wants Mario. She wants Donkey Kong. She wants that. So just like the branding they've done, especially with like how successful the Mario movie was, it's only going to get bigger. Like I can totally foresee like a Donkey Kong spin-off movie, right? Like I can see a Mario Party movie that exists with like all these characters, like a Zelda movie, like all this stuff. Nintendo is only going to get like honestly more sacred in terms of just people's opinion of them, right? Yeah. Like it's only going to get more beloved. I think they got this one kind of locked down. And then it is literally like you graduate from a Switch 2, Switch 3 to a Steam Deck 2 to a Steam Deck 4, right? Like it's all of a sudden you're like, you know, I'm 13, I've played all these Nintendo games, they're pretty good, but like what else is out there? Like I feel like it's like the Switch is going to be the first one you buy, the Steam Deck is going to be the second one you buy just because you are curious. And like honestly, we need curious people because curious people are who make games eventually, right? Like the ones who want to push the limits. But like no, I think you're right. I think Switch has it on lock. But also, I wrote an article talking about how the PS Vita TV was posed to blow up the Vita in such a new way, and IGN ran that on its front page. So what the fuck do I know? Sorry,
dude,
guys.
What a shame.
I wanted to be right.
Like, what a shame though with the Vita. I just want to go back to the Vita for a second because we've touched on it here and there. They were kind of ahead of their time, like looking at the current handheld model. I mean, obviously, it's still outdated looking back on it because it was dedicated handheld games, but they were console quality. And
that wasn't the issue. I've written a few articles for sites. I really think the biggest issue was that they couldn't make parity with phones. Like they couldn't There were
True.
so many games that released on phone. There was Borderlands Revolution, which was like a point and shoot, like cover shooter set in the Borderlands universe. There was Deus Ex Mankind, I think was the name of it. I can't remember the subtitle of it, but it was like a third-person shooter, cover-based shooter that existed on iPhone and never came to Vita. That Borderlands Revolution never came to Vita. There was Breach and Clear, which was like a Rainbow Six Lite that came. There was Modern Combat, which was a Call of Duty ripoff. There were all these games that existed on phones that were 99 cents, and they
Yeah.
never came to Vita. And Vita spent so much time and care and attention and resources into putting in these touch controls to make it feel like a phone without having any of the benefits of a phone. There was Dungeon Alliance was like
Hmm?
a launch game that came that was like basically a Diablo clone. That was $40, maybe $30 on Vita on launch. That game was 99 cents on phone, man. Like that was where they fucked
Yeah.
up. Like they had
is a
to
good
do
point.
at least what a phone did, and then give you Uncharted, and then give you Killzone, and then give you the one whose name escapes me, where you have to get years off your sentence. I can't remember what it's called.
Freedom Wars.
It's getting a
Dude,
remake, right?
Comes out next
consoles.
month. Next month.
We doing that? We in?
Oh hell yeah, we are.
Can we do a stream of that?
Let's do it.
Seth,
I'm buying it day one.
Seth might come back from the dead to do a stream of that game.
No, I mean, I think frankly, there were a series of issues with the Vita. I think the price was problematic too at that time compared to the 3DS.
It wasn't. They announced it at like, because the 3DS was $249. They announced the Vita at $299. If it's $50 more, it's great. The problem was 3DS sales sucks. They dropped it to $179.
Yeah.
So then there was a gulf. Like that was
Right.
the issue. They cut the RAM in half. There was supposed to be 256 megabytes of RAM. They cut it down to 128 at the last minute.
Yeah.
So then all of a sudden, the games that were supposed to be parity between PlayStation 3 and Vita just couldn't chop it. And so you had some games like Madden was running on the same engine, but like they're like, oh well, we don't want to invest too much money in this if it's not going to be successful. It's like, it'll be more successful if you invest money in this. The only game that really took advantage of it was the show, because Sony owned it. It was such like a frustrating confluence of events that killed the Vita and like inadvertently made the PSP way more impressive in hindsight.
Also,
That is true.
the storage. Remember the memory was
Yeah,
god
it's
awful expensive for him.
I have a Vita like somewhere up here that has the 64 gig memory card that I imported from Japan like in 2013 or whatever, and it cost me like $140.
They sell like bootleg storage now.
Yeah, you can like slap an SD card in it or something, a mini SD.
Yeah, so you can
micro SD.
basically like sideload in extra storage, but then like I don't think it like you can connect to the PSN with that. So like
Yeah.
it's like it really only works if you've modded your Vita, which like I technically have 3 Vitas because like I bought the baby blue one and like the powder pink one from Japan because they were on super sale on eBay. And I tested those to make sure they ran, but like I didn't feel confident enough in my modding abilities. But like now I feel better. I feel better having done some Xbox mods myself. Yeah.
I will say this,
Vita.
going back to the Switch
Fucking
2,
Vita.
or the next Switch. The only way that Nintendo could stumble out the gate on this is because I think the specs and everything, screen size is going to be fine.
Yeah,
I don't think
for sure.
it'll be OLED. I think it'll be a nice LCD like what the Portal is. But the naming, if they call it like the new Switch, it's like
If it is a like literal Switch successor, if it's the same concept, Joy-Con style, you detach the Joy-Cons, I feel like they've got to name it Switch 2. And if they don't, I think they're going to
Super
have
Switch.
a marketing problem. They could. I just think Switch 2, like for the general audience, you're going to see the 2 and know what that means.
Well, there's precedent.
Yeah.
PlayStation 2, Xbox 360 was weird, but like it was a bigger number than Xbox, so like that like
True.
at least told you that it was like more substantial. Yeah, you're right. Like it really is. GameCube did nothing because it didn't build on N64. But also if they called it like Nintendo 128, would it have been more? Like, I don't think
Yeah.
so.
Well, I mean, hell, not that the name was this thing's issue, but look at the Wii U. I mean, I think people saw that, like the general public, and thought, what what is this?
I wouldn't be surprised if moms went in there and thought it was like um, it's an add-on to the Wii, right?
Yeah.
So
Yep.
I mean, that's also.
3DS.
I mean, while we're talking about
That's the worst.
like, I feel like this generation in particular from Sony and Microsoft has been really interesting because like they've asked you to do things that no other generation has, right? Like the idea, like I remember replacing my hard drive in my PlayStation 4. That was a pain in the ass. Like that was weird and like kind of scary because like I had to remove
Yeah.
it. I had to like back up the OS to like a USB so I could
PS3
run
too.
off the USB to do that. I never did it on PlayStation. I was too scared to do it on
It's the
PlayStation
same.
3.
It was also pretty rough to do.
But like on PlayStation 4, it's literally popping off a panel and then sliding in like a PLE drive, right? Like that's what it's called, or a PCE drive. I can't remember.
NVMe.
The NVMe. Okay, the flash shit that goes in there. That's super easy. With Xbox Series X, it's like literally the chip that Cortana's on the back of Master Chief's head is like the same design of like, oh, here's an extra terabyte of hard drive space that you just plug into the back of your Xbox. Like the idea of doing, this isn't the correct term, so I'm not going to use it. I'm not going to say soft mods, but easy mods. Like the idea of just like, oh, it makes sense that you can do this and improve your console.
Yeah.
I also wouldn't be surprised if Nintendo did make a compromise and it's like, yeah, like it is super powerful when it's docked. It's going to be rougher. It's going to be better than the original Switch, but it's going to be like just a significantly smoother experience when it's docked because there will be extra computational power available through the dock. Because like the dock for the current Switch, all due respect, literally just a plastic shell, right? Like it's literally just a stand.
It's a plastic shell with a USB-C cable in it.
Yeah, that's all it is, right? Like that. Yeah, okay. So like there's nothing there. And like I guess the only thing that makes it more powerful is the fact that it's not running to a screen right there, right? So like there's some battery conservation. Like I don't understand why it's more powerful docked, but like I understand that the fact that it's not running something directly off the processors to that screen as opposed to just like sending it to another screen. I'm like, okay, that like vaguely makes sense to me, right? Like it's not all operating right here in the smallest possible quadrant, right? Like that makes sense to me. I feel like they could do something with the dock to make the Switch 2 slightly more impressive and more competitive. But again, like it's the second best selling console of all time at this point, right? Except maybe PS1, they conveniently found 6 million more sales to make it the best selling console of all time, whatever. So it's number 2.
PS1's over PS2?
No, PS2, sorry.
Okay.
They found
What's
6
PS2
million.
at?
151, 161,
Because I
some
think
ridiculous
the
number.
Switch is it's approaching 150.
Well, they announced their number, and then PlayStation announced that PlayStation 2 had set a record milestone. Yeah, that exactly. Yeah, I think like that's kind of shystery, but whatever.
Yeah.
And then like the DS, and then it's the Switch, right? Like those are the top 3 selling consoles of all time. So I think they got some momentum. I also think that the games are still fun while being a little rickety. And so like I think that's an easier sell to people like, hey, you want a smoother experience, you should upgrade to Switch 2. And Austin, Coach, I think you're 100% right. The naming is going to be key. I hope they nail it. I'm scared they won't because there have been times where they haven't.
Yeah. So I've been putting a lot of time into Age of Calamity, and there are a ton of enemies on it, and it's fast. And I've only had it once, and it was right before a cutscene where it stuttered. But that game runs so good, like I love being in the Breath of the Wild world, and to like be in a Warriors game is amazing. So I'm loving Age of Calamity right now, and it's super smooth. Like I haven't had any issues.
I do hope it gets a boost on Switch to like a more solid frame rate. I mean, it definitely. I remember having some issues with it, but I was listening to a podcast the other day. I think it was think it was Punching Up, which is Last Stand Media's Nintendo podcast, and Gene Park from the Washington Post was on there saying that he had been playing it and he thought it was easily the worst performing Switch game. And I was like, maybe I'm misremembering, but I don't really think it was that bad. I think the concerns about the performance in that game were way overstated, but maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. Like, I feel like the new Echoes of Wisdom performance is far worse than that.
I also think that game is like we've talked about this where like I'm willing to forgive a game's performance if it's ambitious. And so the fact that like the things you can do in Echoes of Wisdom, it sucks that it doesn't run better, but also like, oh, well, the fact that they let you do literally anything at any possible moment with any amount of object. I'm like, okay, well, that sounds like an impossible game that like a PlayStation 5 should struggle to work with. Like they basically just like took Scribblenauts and like made that shit work in a 3D environment, right?
Yeah.
It's like that's I'm willing to forgive that, but then like, man, it'd be so nice to play that on Switch 2 day one and get like the intended experience, right?
The Xenoblade games,
Dude.
don't those kind of lag?
Xenoblade 3, I don't know.
Xenoblade 3 was the one that was a little iffy, but Seth could speak better to that than we could.
The one I have issues with was 2, but it wasn't even the performance. It's just playing in handheld looks like you're playing like a PS1 game. Yeah. The resolution is so bad. It's like 360p or something at times. It's so blurry.
Do you think Monolith Soft would go and patch those up for the new Switch?
Maybe.
Because those are big games. Those are like, I mean, those are pretty decent. Like they're a good second party.
They probably would. They seem to really care, right? And like we're getting Xenoblade Chronicles X in February.
Yeah.
You guys gonna go back and replay that shit? Yeah.
I don't really care about remasters. I just hope that we do get a Breath of the Wild remaster. You don't have to remaster Tears of the Kingdom, but fix the little issues of Breath of the Wild and get it to see if you could get it to 60 frames per second. And
see if you could make it. Yeah, see if you could make it fun this time. That'd be sick. We've been going for like an hour. I want to wrap this up soon. Coach, you mentioned Age of Calamity. What else have you been playing lately?
So pretty much that's been it because I did download Dynasty Warriors Origins, right? And
the demo?
Yes, the demo.
That's the new one, right? Okay.
Yes, and I hope the little vertical slice that we got is like midway through the game because the controls it's
so complicated.
Every button does something, right? Whereas my switch back here, when I'm playing Age of Calamity, you know, your what is it? Y is your just a regular attack. X is going to be your strong attack, and then A, that's your Muso attack, right? And I think that's with the Samurai Warrior games as well. So it's pretty much the same around. But I noticed on this one, man, there's a lot of stuff going on. It's amazing. I love it. I can't wait for it next month. So I've been bouncing around with those two games.
Yeah. By the way, I just want to say really quickly, Bullfrog in the chat said, hashtag bring back Scribblenauts. I agree. That game is really good.
DC Scribblenauts was really good.
The first one on DS came out
2011 to 2012.
Yeah. And then Terraria, you remember that game?
Yeah.
Is that what it's?
It's like the 2D Minecraft.
Yeah, and that's one thing I've been going back and like listen. Just I'm running out of sports podcasts. I'm like getting so hungry for more football and basketball content that I'm going through it too fast. So I've been listening to older like podcast Beyonds and Game Scoops and whatnot. Yeah. And man, Collins L on this. I wish he wasn't wrong, but he thought that like on the PlayStation 4 generation, all the online services would be free. Which like makes sense because like that opens up, that gives you so many more customers, that gives you so many more opportunities to like evangelize your shit. And I'm just so mad that he was wrong because like I'm currently paying $160 a year, I think, for PlayStation Plus, which I still don't think is like unreasonable considering how much I feel like I'm getting. But like, fuck, I wish it weren't 160. You know,
Yeah.
that'd be tight. Um,
I will say at least like with the Nintendo one, you can share with people. So
Yeah.
Coach is on mine, Andy's on mine. I think Elijah's still on mine. We've got like several people on ours. You can share with 8 people, which is absurd. So
I'm still debating if I want to get my nieces and nephews a Switch for Christmas this year, just because like a new one's coming out. They don't care about graphical fidelity. Honestly, they just want to play Mario Kart. I'm like, well, the Switch plays Mario Kart great. Like, you don't need a brand new Nintendo console to enjoy Mario Kart. And but they were kind of shitty at Thanksgiving, so I'm like, well, maybe I won't get them a Switch. So like, I'm not entirely sure what I want to do, but it is so nice to know that I can just share that with them.
yeah.
And just like, oh, cool, you can go to bed and my brother can play Zelda, like Link to the Past, which is like a game he loved when he was a kid. You know, like
Yeah.
that's pretty cool. Austin, what have you been playing lately?
Not a whole lot. Really the one thing that I've been just playing a ton of for the past few weeks here and there, when I've had the time is Black Ops 6. I
Fuck
got
yeah.
Game Pass like a month ago just to play it, and I haven't even finished the campaign. But like my full intention was to go in and just play the campaign and cancel my Game Pass. I'm like halfway through. I've just slowly been working my way through, and this campaign is actually longer than most Call of Duty games. It's like 10 hours, which is pretty good. So it is great, by the way, so far. The campaign is really, really good, which I'm not surprised. I thought the Cold War campaign was fantastic. So I'm
God,
not.
when you spoilers for Cold War, when you framed Reagan for almost starting World War III, just
I
chef's
know.
kiss. This cuck libtard loves any shade you can throw at that fucking
Well,
asshole Ronald Reagan.
the
Yeah,
whole plot of that game though was really, really good, and so far this is the same. I mean, I just went, and this is some of the stuff is in the trailer, but like I just went to some palace and it was talking about like bioweapons that were given to Saddam Hussein by this like fake Black Ops organization that's in the game, and it's just really interesting to see this more modern stuff kind of come into play in Call of Duty. But and I say modern like this wasn't 30 years ago, 40, 35 years ago, but still.
modern, not contemporary, but
Yeah,
modern. Yeah.
but point aside, I got Game Pass just to play the campaign, and then I ended up playing a few matches of multiplayer, and I literally cannot stop playing the multiplayer. I haven't
What's
even
your
been
what's
playing with anybody.
what's your go-to mode?
Oh, I throw it on like random. So I've got it filtered to the ones that I like. So I have, of course, TDM, Domination, um, Hardpoint, and a few others, Free for All, like just some
Do
of the
you,
more classic ones. And
do you
I've
do it? Do you do it normal or hardcore?
normal. I don't like hardcore.
Oh no, you got it. Hardcore kill confirmed is like the greatest
Oh, Kill Confirmed is
multiplayer
good.
mode. Hardcore kill confirmed is like the greatest multiplayer mode ever fucking invented. Because like I will see someone before they see me. I will shoot them 3 times. It doesn't matter because as soon as I start shooting them, they pin me down. In hardcore, that doesn't matter. Like if you see someone first, like you got it. Like you win. And like it feels realistic is like a bullshit dumb thing to say when you're talking about Call of Duty, but like it feels more fair in hardcore. So I'm
Yeah.
all about that.
Well, and to be fair, I haven't tried it in this one. I just remember I never liked hardcore in the older games. I never played it. So, not that I never played it, but I've tried it several times and just could never get into it. So I need to try it again. I'll try it on this because I
How
might like it
was
more now.
how was Black Ops, the one that Cold War? How was that?
Fantastic.
Excellent,
Yeah.
excellent.
I think
Really,
it's
really
on
good.
sale too.
It's got a coach. You would love that campaign. It's really, really good.
That campaign has one of my favorite video game levels of all time, the Red Door level, Austin,
Yep.
where you're like revisiting Vietnam. One of the best video game levels of the last 10 years.
Yeah. Dude, that game is so good. And I haven't fully paid attention to Call of Duty for really the past decade. Like the last one I seriously played was Black Ops 3. And then I just played Cold War earlier this year so that I would know kind of what's happening for this game. and loved Cold War, but I've always loved the Black Ops stories more. I've always found
Yeah.
them really, really entertaining. Not that I've disliked Modern Warfare and those games, but there's something about like the plot and the the dark agents and like all the kind of more supernaturally type stuff that I really like.
It's kind of one of those things where they talk about with movies where like the reason there's so many movies that are period pieces that I've heard people say is like it's so cool not having to worry about how cell phones would affect this story. Right? And it's like when you're telling a story that's like in the 80s, it's like, oh, you can just tell like a spy thriller where you don't have to worry. It's like, why didn't he text him? It's like, because there's no fucking phones. That's
Yeah.
why. So just
Yeah.
shut up and just let the story happen. Like it's sick. I'm with you. I'm halfway through the campaign at this point. I have also been sidetracked by multiplayer. In fact, as soon as we get off this call here, probably gonna go play some multiplayer. I'm very excited. The kill confirmed, like I said, like that is just like the most white knuckle inducing. Have you played the prop hunt yet?
I haven't messed around with that
Okay.
mode.
Okay, that game mode's incredible. Where like one team is like people who have guns, the other team people who can like inhabit different items basically in a Call of Duty level. And so like the idea is like you have to go hide in a place that's so benign that no one notices you. And like that team wins if they're able to kill everyone who's hiding as a prop. Like it's just like, oh shit, this is such a cool idea for a multiplayer mode. And every clip I see on social is like one of the funniest things I've ever seen. Oh, it's incredible. Yeah. It's gonna be a good Christmas break for me
Yeah.
coming up.
I need to
just
try it.
I get the week between Christmas and New Year's off, and God, all I want to do is gain 3 pounds and play Call of Duty. I can't wait.
We need to play some during that time frame. Because the problem is my work schedule is so weird. I never stay up that late. Like I'm immediately
Mhm.
going to go to bed after this podcast.
Crossplay actually works really well on
Yeah.
this game in a way that it didn't on Modern Warfare 3. So
Nice.
I'm into it. Yeah.
That week though, I do work, but I'm working overnight, so I'll be home like way early, and we'll be on
Okay.
all like late morning, afternoon. So I'll be around.
Can't
So
Um,
this just in, breaking news. Call of Duty Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War is $25 on PlayStation.
I think it's worth that. I
The-
really
the-
feel
the-
like it's
the
worth it just
camp-
for the
yeah.
campaign.
The campaign alone, 1,000% agree.
And it's
Yeah.
gorgeous too on PS5.
How much is
That
it
would-
download?
You're gonna have to download it. and then-
450 gigs.
It's less than that, but like it was the first
It's like
game
100.
that I remember. No, but that was one of the first games where I remember you could like set like, oh, I just want to download the campaign. Oh, I just want to download multiplayer. Oh, I just want to download Warzone. Like that was the start, honestly, of we need to do an episode just on that, of the complications of playing Call of Duty in 2024 and 2025, because it
Yes.
is a fucking nightmare what they're doing on PlayStation.
Well, then you
in
have
particular.
high resolution pack and all these different packs.
Well, it's not
and
even
stuff.
that, but it's like all these different game modes, and like these are all technically expansions. So there hasn't been a platinum on a Call of Duty game in 2 years because they're technically expansions to like the Modern Warfare, like the Call of Duty like launcher. So like if you bought the PlayStation 4 version, you can get the platinum, but if you buy the PlayStation 5 version, it's technically an expansion pass to a previous Call of Duty game that's from the launch. Like it's such a fucking mess. Really quickly, I've been playing 2 games and 2 games only. 3 games, but I don't count one because I played it 8 billion times. Half-Life on Steam Deck, which is one of the greatest shooters I've ever played in my entire life. I just hate playing it on Steam Deck. I don't think that console is very good for first-person shooters. That said, everything about Half-Life is absolutely incredible so far. The world, I wish you had recharging health. Halo kind of ruined that for me, made me feel a little safer, and everything in Half-Life makes me feel incredibly stressed. I feel like I fucked up and I should have done Black Mesa instead, but I feel pretty cool going back and enjoying this secret part of, or not secret, but hidden to me part of shooter history. Austin, have you ever played Half-Life?
Barely, and so that's what I'm looking forward to doing. I want to do what you're doing though. I want to play the original, and even though I just said I bought Black Mesa, I want to play the first game, play 2, and then go back to Black Mesa because I really want to see. I think it would be wrong of me to play Black Mesa first and then go to 2. I feel like that's weird. So
That's
um,
fair. But also at this point, Black Mesa is really like I remember writing about that in my college newspaper in 2012. Like
yeah,
that,
that's true.
like
It's older.
that is a yeah. So that is one game I'm playing, Halo Master Chief Collection. That's the one I don't really count, just because it's like that
Yeah.
is literally my comfort food at this point. Also, I'm gonna stop playing Halo. I have a friend who's coming up for New Year's for like a week, and we're gonna try to beat Halo 1, 2, and 3 in the week that he's here.
Oh,
Nice.
that's good.
So I'm very excited for that. I'm like, okay, fuck it, let's just play it on easy. Let's play all 4. Like, let's try to get Reach in because you never played Reach. You never played 4. Let's try to get as many Call of Duty game or the Halo games in. Play them on. If there's a very easy, let's play it on that. Let's just rush through the story. Let's just have fun.
So
Dra-
sorry, Coach and I
Please.
just have to say this. Coach and I played every Halo game together, right? Did we play 5 together, or was it just 1 through 4 in ODST? I don't
We
remember
didn't
if we
play
played
those
5.
together. I don't think we played those.
I thought we did.
We played Gears, but I don't think we did Halo.
Oh, maybe I'm
We tr-
misremembering. I
we
could have
tried-
sworn we played all
yeah.
of them.
No,
But anyway, point aside, we tried like literally multiple times to start Reach, and we neither of us have
We-
beat that game.
we got halfway both times, the
Yeah.
same spot. Yeah.
That's my favorite. Like, not just my favorite Halo game, maybe my favorite game of all time. I think Halo
Yeah.
Reach is
We got to play it.
incredible.
So I'm down. I mean, I can get it on my laptop.
Fabio, for those listening who listen to whatever podcast Seth and Pedro do, Fabio is my Pedro. Is it Alpha something? What do they do? Alpha Nerds? I
Alpha
can't remember the
Nerds,
name of their show.
yeah.
Is it really? Jesus Christ, that's a name. All right. So Fabio is my Pedro, and like we used to alternate. One year we play Halo, the next year we play Gears, the next year we play Halo, the next year we play Gears. But like, nah, I gotta save Halo for my buddy Colin. The game I really want to talk about, Dragon Age Veilguard. That game's fucking incredible. It feels like it's taking a lot of notes from Mass Effect 2 and Dragon Age 2 in particular. I played a little bit of Origins. I played a little bit of Dragon Age 2. Not enough to say, like, oh, yes, I'm a master in this lore. I spent 15 hours in Inquisition, and I stopped playing just because I'm like, this is not how I want to play a game like this. I want to play it more actiony. I want to play it more Skyrim-y. And holy shit, is this game more Skyrim-y. You're pulling off God of War-like combos, and you're doing power-ups and all that stuff. The tone is really close to, like, the D&D movie from earlier this year, last year. I can't remember when it came out. I think it might have been last year, where it is just like quippy and everyone has like a rebuttal and everyone's got like a funny joke. The art direction's gorgeous. It's pretty simple, but like it's simple done well, which I actually think is really hard to do. I love Dragon Age Veilguard. I'm so glad I didn't listen to the internet when it said like, look at this woke, shitty, trash nonsense. The game's great. I recommend that game so much. It is such a fun fantasy RPG that's just asking you to do cool traditional shit in like a fun, exciting way.
Yeah, I don't really want to get political because frankly I don't really care, but I just like I would rather just play the game. I don't really have any interest in like contributing to that whole argument of whether it's woke or not woke or whatever.
Oh,
it is.
I think anyone who says it's woke is a fucking idiot.
But either way, it
that's
just looks like a fun game to me.
That's my conversation. That's not your conversation. Yeah, it's like, oh shit, there's a black chick in this game. Oh, it's so fucking woke. It's like, all right, cool. That's one way to look at the world. Okay.
Isn't that horrible? Like we're at that point now where
it's like,
it's
oh,
hard to enjoy things.
There's a Latina protagonist. Oh, they're fucking catering to the woke left. It's like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I think they're just acknowledging that Latina women are real. I don't think that's woke. I think that's just the thing. And I say that as someone who's Latino. That wraps up. That's everything I've got. If you're anti-woke, go fuck yourself. That's me. That's not Coach. That's not Austin. That's just George saying that. So don't get mad at them. Get mad at me. It's okay. Austin, Coach, I love you so much. It's so good to see you guys. I disagree with you about so many things, but goddamn, do we come together and agree on things that really matter, like Rogue Squadron being the first game you're going to play in your analog. That's really all that matters. Deep down, that's all that matters.
You know what my
Austin,
very expensive PC can't do well? Play Rogue Squadron.
Nope.
Honestly, can you do me a favor? Can you try to buy it on Steam and then tell me what to do? so I can play it on my expensive computer because I can't figure it out. It says like, oh, we're just gonna do Xbox 360 controller mode. I'm like, that sounds great. Yeah, I would love to just pretend I'm using a 360 controller, and I can't make it work. So you're smarter than me. I trust you. If you want, I'll Venmo you the money to buy Rogue Squadron on Steam.
It's
if
so
you can tell me
sad that they
how to play
that. Everybody got excited for it, and it's just a turd.
I just want the fucking game that the studio like remastered for Wii. Like, I don't understand. Every other Star Wars game has been re-released. Like the Phantom fucking Menace came out on PlayStation 5, and you're telling me we don't have the technology to release the Wii remaster of Rogue Squadron 1, 2, and 3? You've like Aspire, you fucked up. Like you fucked up Knights of the Old Republic. Just admit it. Like, that game's never coming out. It's fine. Just do this. Fix this. Make Rogue Squadron come out on modern consoles, for God's sake.
Or just get Factor 5, because they're still together for the most part, I believe.
They're doing fucking Turian and Hulu apps, man. Like, they're busy, all right? Also, is Hulu the only streaming app that ever came to Switch?
No, they eventually started adding more. So they
Did they really?
Okay.
they added Crunchyroll. And
oh yeah, that's right. That's right.
I think, well, I guess YouTube's on there. Do you count YouTube?
Yeah.
Not really. No, I don't count it. No.
We are streaming videos. But
That might be it.
Okay. Wow, the big two, Crunchyroll and Hulu. Good job. We've been going on way too long. Austin, Coach, love you to pieces. Thank you so much for a wonderful episode. Austin, are we recording next week, or are you busy next?
I'm good next week, so yeah, we should be good to record, and we can talk about Indiana Jones.
Oh my God, I will actually buy that game and play it this weekend. Coach, are you available next Tuesday?
Next Tuesday? Is that what you said?
Yep. Yep. Yeah, that is what Austin said. Yeah, so excited. We'll be back in your ear holes next week. Thank you so much for listening to Frameskip. Look us up on socials. I will make us a Blue Sky account at one point so you can add us on
good idea.
that. Love you to pieces, and we'll be back in your ear holes next week.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Frameskip. Don't forget you can find the show on social media at FrameSkipPod. That's on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. You can also follow us each individually on Twitter. George is at Shortbox Summary, Seth is at Seth the 90s Kid, and I, Austin Eller, am at Austin J. Eller on Twitter. If you've got a question, comment, or topic you'd like to hear discussed on the next episode of Frameskip, you can do so by submitting it to us on social media. Email us at frameskippodcast@gmail.com or visit bit.ly/frameskipq. That's bit.ly/frameskipq. The show is typically live on YouTube every week, either on Tuesday or Wednesday. You can find our YouTube channel at bit.ly/frameskiplive. Don't forget to subscribe and be notified when we do go live, typically at about 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Thanks for listening. We'll catch you next time.